Today, I'm excited to welcome John Brink to the show. John, thanks for joining me. How's it going today?
Not so bad, Brian. Everything seems to be good. Yeah.
Upright. I figure if I'm upright in the morning, I wake up and I'm still alive. That's a good day to be around. So, John,
Exactly.
on the show, we like to talk about people's journeys to where they're at now, but I like them to kind of let the audience know where they're at now, who you are. If you could introduce yourself to the audience and let them know who John Brink is.
Okay, that sounds good, Brian. So, as you indicated, my name is John Brink. I live right now in Canada. I came here 60 years ago, and so I've been in 60 years in northern British Columbia. And for all those people watching us from around the world, British Columbia is on the west coast of Canada, and there's that big city, Vancouver. We are 500 miles or 800 kilometers north of Vancouver, which
That's
puts
a
us in
whiz.
the center of British Columbia, north to south, east to west. So that's where I live. And then before that, I was born in 1940 in
Okay.
northeastern Holland. And now, if you kind of think back, that was just before the war started, big time there. And so my mom and dad got married in 1938, and they were in love, and beautiful house they rented, and they had a career. And then their whole world changed. My dad was drafted into the Dutch army in April of 1940, and for 5 years, they wouldn't know if he was dead or alive because the last time they saw him was just before Rotterdam got bombed and thousands of people died. That's the last place they saw him. So for my mom, it was a tough go. I was born then in November 1940. I had a brother and sister, 1 year and 2 year older than me. And the first thing that I remember of my life is hundreds of bombers overhead. When Obviously, what had happened is that in May of 1940, in 1938, 39, Hitler, the dictator of Germany, decided to invade Poland and incorporate it into Germany. And then after he did that, then he decided that the Western Europe should also be incorporated. So they invaded Western Europe, in particular. Holland was involved as well. And then everything had changed. Everything that we took for granted was now different.
Was there was there imminent risk of danger where you were? Was there active fighting? Do you recall that as a child?
Oh, absolutely. So the first thing that I remember really was the bombers overhead, hundreds of them, the Allied bombers that were bombing the western part of Germany, but Germany touches the North Sea, and a lot of infrastructure was there that builds weapon systems. And so Bremen, Wilhelmshaven, Hamburg, Kiel, all those areas, and hundreds of bombers. The sound, I was only 3 years old, 3.5 years old. I will never forget the sound of it. And my mom would take us outside in the evening on a flat roof because not that it was pretty, but she felt safer outside than inside. And in the distance, we could see the German cities burning. And so I remember that part. The next one that I remember was in 1944 when they had cut off all the food supply into Holland. And so, as kids, every morning we go take gunny sacks and we would go into the railroad yard, pick up anything edible and burnable. And so I remember that the reason that we did as kids, they wouldn't shoot us, they boot us one, but we'd be back the following morning. And then the winter of 1944-45 was the coldest on record in Holland. We had a very small little room that we tried to keep warm, the only place in the house. And I remember how hot it was in the front and so cold in the back. I can still feel, even now, 80 years later, I'm 84, I can still remember, the heat and the colds and the hunger. And then the next thing was that in April the 12th of 1944, 45, we were liberated by the Canadian Army, and on little town in northeastern Holland. And I remember that. It made such an impression on me that I knew from that point forward that once I grew up, I would go to the land of my heroes, Canada. And I did. I was going to go when I was 17, but they wouldn't let me. And so I was then drafted into the Dutch Air Force for a little more than 2 years. And then I finally decided to go when I was 24. And that was my dream. And the other dream that I had is to build a lumber mill. And so I came all the way, all the timber is in British Columbia. And so I came to Montreal, flew into Montreal, took the train across Canada, 4 days, 5 nights. My God, that is a long way. And arrived in Vancouver, couldn't speak the language, didn't know soul, didn't have a job, went to the immigration department. And fortunately, there was a German fellow working there. I could speak some German. And so I told him what I wanted to do. He said, go to Prince George. That's where I am today, 60 years later. And so I came off the bus here, Greyhound bus. I can still see it in the distance here. And I had a suitcase, 3 books, 2 sets of clothes. And I counted my money at least 3 times. I had $25.47. But what I had lots of attitude. I'm always positive, always have been. Passion, whatever I do, I give it 125%. Work ethic, I work harder than anybody. And even still now, I usually wake up at 84. I still usually wake up at 5:30 in the morning. I always make my bed, and I always think I'm late. And so I'm always in a hurry. And
what could $25 get you then? When you landed, what could that amount of money get you?
You probably would survive maybe a day on that, so coffee then was about 10 cents likely in 1965, and a newspaper was about 10 or 15 cents,
But you needed some place to live, and you needed to eat, and so where did the dream of a lumber mill come from? Is that something from Holland
yes,
that's popular there?
Yeah, my grandfather was a master carpenter, although I never knew him, but I knew the work that he did, and he was amazing. And that always impressed me. The second one was my dad worked in the lumber industry. And then the other one I have to quickly tell you is that academically, I was not a success story. I failed grade 3 and I failed grade 7 3 times. So they said, what are we going to do with this guy? And some people said, well, send him to the mentally challenged school. They said, no, we're not going to do that. We'll find him a job, and we make him, we created a career where he can work with his hands. So my dad had a friend that had a furniture factory. So they sent me there at 12 and a half years old. I became, with the idea of becoming a furniture maker. So
you realized your passion real quick.
Yeah. So, and I liked that. And then, but I felt I was always, the difficult with friends that I used to have in grade 7 that went on to college and university. I always kind of felt that it kind of looked down on me because I was a laborer, and kids can be hard on each other. And I felt that I was just as smart as everybody else, not better than. And so I wanted to start from the ground up with nothing. And so hence I came to Canada with nothing. By the time I got to Prince George, I didn't have much. So I started as a clean-out man. Very quickly, I was promoted to lumber pilot, then green chain foreman, then sawmill foreman. And within a year and a quarter, I was already a superintendent of one of the largest sawmills here. But that didn't go quick enough for me. And so within a year thereafter, I was really a part owner of a small sawmill. And then 10 years later, I built a company called Brink Forest Products. And today we have the Brink group of companies with 10 different companies. And obviously, since that time, I've become an author. I have written 6 books. I have 10 different companies. I obviously a very active podcaster. I think we top 1% globally. And, I think I'm also a podcaster. I'm working on. I'm close to the 400th podcast in the next 2 weeks, I think.
Oh, that's fantastic. I pump out a lot of episodes, and I'm right in that range in that 500 to 1,000 bracket. It's a lot of work. People don't realize how much extra work there is added on when you start doing a podcast. But so what when you land in Prince George, was it just I got to find a job? Was there jobs available? I'm trying to picture what that time period was. Was the job market open? Did you have to kind of take whatever you could find right away?
Well, obviously, I had a cash flow issue, so I came off the bus and then I had my $25.47. Then went to the immigration office. Fortunately, there was in July of 1965, and there was a fella that had a part-time job that had a Dutch background, so he could understand me, and so he said, "Well, when do you want to start?" I said, "Well, tonight." So they found me a job here in a sawmill. Was a little ways away from here, but in a little town south of us called Quesnel, and and they found me a job there piling lumber. But
Okay.
I started piling lumber. I still had my gray pants on, my double-breasted jacket, my white shirt and a tie and a raincoat, and you know, and so when I had my first job, I went down to the green chain, and it was also a plywood plant. It was about 300 people that worked there. The sawmill was a small portion of it, and all 300 must have come and see me. He said, "You have to go look at the sawmill because that crazy guy is working there in his suit." And that was me.
You didn't have anything to put on.
Well, that's all I had, right? So then, it was years and years later that I was in a conference actually, and I was already well established, and there was a fellow that worked at that company, and he told the story to other people. He said at one point this happened and that happened. This one guy piled in his uh, you know dress suit and piling lumber, and we all looked at it, and I said, "Right, that was me." you can
Nice.
you believe it? Yeah.
His eyes probably turned into saucers.
Yeah, so then I wrote a book. The first book that I wrote is this one, Against All Odds. And that tells the story not about how successful John is, but rather about all the ups and downs along the way. And then I did three or four other ones.
What how did you learn the language? Just immersion, like necessity?
Yeah, that's basically what happened, Brian, is I knew yes and no, and that's about all I knew. Obviously, at grade 7, we didn't teach English in Holland, and so I had to kind of start from the bottom up. And then, right from the beginning, I had to interact, and so it didn't take long, totally merging, until, I could speak the language. But
Is there a were you taking advantage of it all because of that? I see, like I've worked in restaurants for a long time. I worked in a lot of factory work with a lot of immigrants. Um, Maybe English is a second language for sure, and it seems like there's it's an opportunity ripe for being taken advantage of.
yeah, I was called a DPer and all the other kind of stuff. And the other thing that I did, I worked extraordinary well. I always used to come to work 20 minutes before, stayed about 20 minutes, half an hour later to make sure my work site, even when I was a cleanup man, that's what I did. And that was not always appreciated. And then I became a charge hand. And then I took that serious, and that was not always appreciated. But most people didn't know I had an objective even then. When I was a cleanup man, in the evenings when I would go home, I was already working on my stationery, what it would look like at the plant that I wanted to build, what it would look like, and all those kind of things. So I was already way over there, although I was doing physical work here.
you were visualizing before that was a thing.
Correct.
You were setting the stage for yourself, and man, you really knocked it out of the park. Um,
And I'm still going further.
yeah, yeah. So let's talk about that for a second. So you're 80. You said 84 years
84.
old now.
Yeah.
Um,
84 years young.
84 years young. Still weightlifting. Yeah, I saw the picture on your Podmatch profile. What you're a competitive weightlifter still?
I'm a bodybuilder. I am, so everybody has a story. In 2008, I got a case of diverticulitis. My wife is a vegetarian, and I didn't always listen as well to her as I could and should have. And so then I got a case of diverticulitis, which is your colon that ruptured, and I came this close to dying. And so I knew I had to do something more serious about it. So I was before that. I was just like everybody else. Every end of the year, we all decide to go. I'm going to do this, that, and I'm going to buy a membership to the gym. And then 2 weeks later, we can find 100 reasons as why I'm too busy to go to the gym.
Right.
And so, what I did is I hired a trainer, stayed with him or her in that particular case for 6 years, and then somebody came up to us and say, "Hey, John, have you ever thought about competing?" I said, "Me? Yeah." I said, "Well, why not?" That's what I did. So I competed in Northern British Columbia, came in second in bodybuilding, third in physique. That qualified me for the provincials, did the same there. That qualified me for the nationals and the Arnolds. And so then COVID came, and then I started again. During that time, I didn't train quite as hard, but I was still very, very fit, and started again the last 2 years, and again am getting ready again for competing. And this is the way I look today.
It's unbelievable. Uh, and,
The
and and
oldest,
so let's
oldest,
so you're doing this, and just so people know, this isn't like your retirement where you're
no,
just
no,
like lifting weights and bodybuilding. Like you still have 10 companies. Is that right?
correct, yeah. And I'm the oldest competitive bodybuilder in North America. And I still have the 10 companies and still growing and expanding. I'm working on my fifth and sixth book. And I still get up 5:30 in the morning, and I'm usually the first one here at my companies and the last one to leave.
Where do you get your energy?
Yeah, that's a good question. Being fit for one, and then the other one, I do a lot of stuff, and a lot of people ask me that. How do you do all this stuff? And I say ADHD. That's how I do it. But
How do you have methods for controlling your ADHD to make it your superpower? Is there Because I know a lot of people with ADHD that can't accomplish a hill of beans.
yeah, so the other one to remember is my foundation is attitude, passion, work ethic. But will follow is success. That has always been my foundation. And then obviously, the I already had an objective in terms of when I was young. For me, I was not academically a success story. This you may find interesting. I'm also a presenter and demand speaker in a lot of cases, and I speak about different topics. But one of the ones that is close to my heart is, in a lot of cases, is this one here, ADHD Unlocked. And, so, uh, the a lot of people say to me when I make presentations and about entrepreneurship and all the other things that I speak about, uh, I always include a little bit about ADHD, and by the time I'm done with my presentation, including a little piece of ADHD, then a lot of people in the room say, "Damn, I wish I had it too."
Right. Right. I've uh
And then let me add this one, Brian. And then the other one say, "Do you feel bad about it that you only went to grade 7?" And I said, yeah, I really feel bad about it, even still now. I should have left earlier.
Right, for sure. I mean, that's a very, if they know anything of your story, if they know anything of what you're currently achieving every day at 80, 84 years young, I don't think they need to answer the question if you feel bad that you only made it to grade 7.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, so what's next? I mean, 10 companies currently bodybuilding, getting ready to compete again here soon. You said, uh, what do you got coming up? It doesn't seem like you're stopping or slowing down at all.
No, I'm still writing books. Another one is coming out is about communications skills. That's going to be an amazing, amazing book. You have to see that one. But I have 4 now, and then the other one. We have 4 silos. The one silo is lumber manufacturing. That's what I have now. Still intending to double and triple that in size. Then the other one silo is warehousing, logistics, and distribution. That has been growing and growing. We're going to double or triple that in size. And then the other one is real estate, residential, commercial, and industrial, which is growing all the time. And then I'm starting another one, which is media. And in media, I do speaking, books, obviously podcasting, and I intend to start a platform in the next 2 to 3 months.
What what do you think your biggest success along the way is? 84 years along, 10 companies, championships in bodybuilding, 4 books. Um, what what is the biggest success you've had?
Attitude. I'm I'm always a positive optimist. I don't tolerate negative around me. Passion. I give whatever I do, I give it 125%, and work ethic, and that's with all the things that I do. And I'm a believer. And then the other part, I believe I contribute that to ADHD. Likely, I'm a visionary, looking forward 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Where do we go? And it has served me well. And I'm a storyteller. That's who I am, from nature, and that's has made me successful.
That's I mean that that encompasses everything you've done, and I think that's a fantastic answer. I wouldn't have pulled that one, but I think that's great. We're kind of coming here on time. If you want to take a minute to let people know where they can find you, we talked about what you got coming up, but where can they find you? Do you and what's your podcast? How often does it come out? What do you talk about? Plug your stuff, and we'll wrap up.
Yeah, johnabrink.com, and you can find all the things that I'm doing. All the books are on there. The books are audio as well, and they are an ebook, and they are in hard form or in any other format. The obviously podcasting on the brink with John A. Brink. We are on YouTube. I think I'm approaching 760 or 770 subscribers on that one alone, and very, very active on all kinds of topics. And the topics are extremely interesting. I do one probably around 4 a week where I'm podcasting, and probably 2 where I'm guesting.
Okay.
And very, very popular. Today, I did a very, very interesting one from a medical doctor, an MBA, and an entrepreneur. Amazing, amazing podcast.
Awesome. I will. I'll get all that information in the video description and the audio description. And John, I've really found this fascinating. We go sky high through this show, but I'm considering adding some longer format conversations, and I think you'd be a prime candidate to dive into some deeper stuff. So I appreciate you being on today, and hopefully we can chat again soon.
Sounds good, Brian. I appreciate it. Take care.